Gada and beyond. Meaning, what importance does Gada have for the future of the Oromo people and for the future of an independent Republican Oromo? That is a daunting task, not a small task. I was asked to do that only 2 weeks ago, and I really have done very little to put together a reasonable presentation for this occasion, but nonetheless, it's a sketch, a bare sketch of what I hope to be, will be a full-fledged book on the subject of the future of Gada in the life of the Oromo nation. For this occasion, I have seen that there are Borana and Gabra people among us who came from the homelands, and I would like what I'm saying to be translated for them. I want to hear everything that I'm saying, and I want to get their feedback on what I'm saying. Because on a number of state levels, we are on the same wavelength. Okay, so what I've attempted to do today is to really map out the entire political system of the Borana, all the 4 major institutions of the Borana, and try to show how well they hang together. This has not been done in Oromo studies. In Oromo studies, people study each institution separately, and they put them on a string like beads, and the connection between them is not analyzed, is not examined. So they are like strings, beads on a string, and there is not much holding them together. But there is, in fact, a very important structural connection between all 4 institutions. Every time I reveal something, some connection between the institutions, like for instance, the connection between Gada and Hariya, the age-set system and the Gada system. Is there a connection or not? Baxter says there's no connection. Having never investigated that problem. Well, Borana themselves told me, and I'll say it exactly the way they say it, Wan Gada Mora Hariya Tolcha. That's how they put it in Borana. When I said that to Ababiya, he said, that's not Borana, that's not grammatical. Well, it may not be grammatical, but it is archaic. That is the way they say it. And I asked him to say it in modern Borana. He said, Wan Gada Morte Hariyan Tolchidi. Fine, that's okay. So I put forth both of them so that they can be understandable. But the language they use is the old language, and in that they say, Wan Gada Mora Hariya Tolcha. What does that mean? It means that Gada is the decision-making body. Hariya executes what the Gada decides. The entire military organization of the Oromo was built around these 2 institutions. Gada as the decision-making body, Hariya as the executive body. Executive meaning the age organization, the age regiment organization, the military organization. When Hariya is converted into an age regiment, it's called Chivra. Chivra, by the way, is the same word as the Amharic word Chifra. That is, their idea of the army comes from what? From Oromo. Chivra organization is the traditional Oromo military organization of age sets. So here we have clearly a connection between Gada and Hariya. Well, Gada and Gumi. Gumi is the national parliament of the Oromo, Gumi National Convention. Gumi is the supreme council of the Oromo, the supreme council of the Borana. Gumi's decisions eclipse all other decisions. Any decision made by lesser councils can be reversed by the Gumi. Their decisions is compelling for all other institutions. So the Gada in power, the Komicha, the Gada in power, is under the authority of the Gumi, or the Gumi Gaya. So every all institutions are under Gumi. So Gumi is at the top of the system. And Gumi is an assembly of Gada assemblies. There's a Ya'a for each assembly, Ya'a Gada. But Gumi is an assembly of all assemblies, Abotin Gada. All of them come together in the Gumi Gada Convention to make the final decisions on any issue. Sometimes, the Abagada, by the way, the Abagada in power, presides in Gumi. He is the one who presides. He is the one who brings together the Gumi Gada. It's a huge assembly. Brings together the Gumi Gada, presides over it, but he's not a decision maker. The entire Gumi makes the decisions. If the Abagada in power is under investigation because he has failed to perform his duties, or because he has committed a crime, or violated Ada Sera in any way, then he's removed from the presiding position. Another one of the Abotin Gada takes over. Okay, so there's collaboration between the Abagada and the Abotin Gada in the Gumi Gada Convention. So there's a direct connection between Gada and Gumi. Now, all of these I have marked with red ink. What does that mean? This side is, I don't have a word for it, but let's put it this way. What the Kallu does is called Jila. Jila simply means a sacred event, sacred ritual. The biggest ritual that he performs is Muda. The Muda ceremony is the event in which Abagada and Kallu are in the same arena. They come together, they come to anoint the Kallu. To anoint the Kallu to receive his blessings. This is the only time when Muda and Kallu are in the same arena. Otherwise, they have their own domains. Kallu is in the ritual domain, he's the sacred leader of the nation. Abagada is in his own domain, he's this political, secular leader of the nation. And the two are quite separate. This is the confusion that exists in the mind of people like Paul Baxter and Marco Bassi, who says the Gada institution is a ritual institution. It is not. It has rituals within it, definitely. It has rituals within it. Is this microphone mobile? This one is mobile, right? This one. Anyway, we go over there.
That's mobile.
This one?
Mobile, yeah, we take that with you.
The second one?
No, the other one, the small one. Yeah. Sure.
Oh, very good. All right. Okay, so I have to go up here and indicate some things that are important. Okay, here's Gumi. Clearly, it is a political organization, Gumi. It's a political assembly. It's the decision-making body. It can use sanctions. It can impose sanctions. It can kill individuals who have committed crimes. They kill them in very interesting ways. Ways that dodge the authority of the secular government under which they are operating. So they don't say we kill them. They just say we curse them. They curse them, but whoever is cursed, you can be sure that they will die one way or another. So they have absolute power, but cleverly presented in such a way that it doesn't clash with the authority of the government of Ethiopia. So Gumi has authority over everybody, including the Kallu. They have direct authority over the Gada in power. Abagada and Kallu are on the same plane, but with different functions. Ritual functions here and political functions on the other side. But within the Gada institution itself, there are rituals, the rituals of passage. Jila, many rituals, which I'll show you on the Gada cycle later. Who guides those rituals? A man named Boku, who is in the Luba as the ritual authority of the Luba to perform the rituals. So when the Boku is guiding the ritual, he blesses, the Abagada receives the blessings. When the political decision-making is being made, the Abagada is in charge, and he's marginalized. So there is a little bit of power of ritual kind within the Gada institution. But otherwise, the division between Gada and Kallu is quite sharp. Borbor Bule, who was one of my teachers, had quite an encounter with me at one point. I said to him, Borbor, all the rituals that I attended in Borana, they say something. They say Jilbeha, which means respect the rituals, honor the rituals, obey the rituals. And I asked him, do they say that in the Gumigayo? In order to maintain order within Gumigayo? Oh, okay, all right. Do they say that in Gumigayo? Borbor was very angry. He said, how can you ask that question? That is nonsense. Gumigayo is not Jila. Gumigayo, Jilamiti. Fula Jilamiti, Fula Guaranati is how we put it. Gumigayo is not the place of ritual, it's the place of war. I said, what do you mean? He said, the people who lead Gumigayo are the warriors, not the ritual leaders. So there, in my mind, for the first time, the division between the ritual leaders and the political leaders became very sharp. So there is connection between Kallu and Abagada. Of course, Abagada depends on the blessings of the Kallu. The Kallu depends on the protection of the Rabagada. The Kallu cannot protect himself, he's not armed. They cannot bear arms, they cannot kill. Let's go down to the Hariya. He was born during a particular Gada period, that is, what in Borana is just called Gada. Born during Gada of so-and-so. I was born during the Gada of Jades Liman. It means that all the people who were born at that period formed one age group. So the entire nation is organized as a series of age groups. Everybody goes through the stages of age and the stages of Gada. There are two completely different cycles, but with two different functions. So that's enough for the big picture. Now, in the literature on Gada, there are people, particularly from the Kenyan side, who have been writing all kinds of nonsense about Gada. That says Gada is a ritual institution. It has no political function whatsoever. And that is complete nonsense. They say that because in Kenya, the Gada doesn't exist. It can't exist because all the leaders of Gada live on the Ethiopian side. The Gada leaders cannot go out of their territory. They're not allowed to leave their territory. They must attend every meeting of Gada, of the Gada Assembly. They must attend every Gumigayo convention. They must be there physically. If they're absent, the meeting cannot continue. And the punishment for it is quite severe, for failing to show up for the meetings of the Gada Assembly or the Gumigayo convention. So what happens on the Kenyan side? They don't have Gada, they don't have Hayus, they don't have Gumi, they don't have Kallu. They have nothing, basically. They have no institutions to speak of. And so writing about Gada based on evidence from Kenya is complete nonsense. They end up with a very ghostly picture of the nation. So I am presenting the evidence based on now 40 years of research. In total, the amount of time that I've spent in Borana on the Kenyan, on the Ethiopian side is 5 years, 2 years in Ethiopia and 3 years in Kenya. And I have known 5 different Abagadas personally. And the Abagadas that I know is Maragadma. Maragadma is the great warrior who waged the greatest war in the 20th century against the Marahan Somali. Difficult man to talk to because he's not a politician, he's a fighter. But nonetheless, I managed to squeeze some information from him about his war, his great war, the war of Madara. Madara is what they call it. And I'll speak some more about it at a later stage. So Madagalma, Uyoboru, I was there for the lullaby of his children. That is the proclamation of the victorious elected leaders of the Luba. Justice Liban, I was there during his term of office, during his period. My Luba is his Luba, he gave me his Luba. And I lived in the Ola Almora, in his village, in the Yagera, to conduct all my research. I used that as my research base. I knew Babule at the time that he was Rama, and I was there for his Danisa ceremony. I knew Babule, I knew Jivaga at the time of his marriage, Fudaraba. All these people went through the entire cycle, and their children have now completed a complete cycle. That is to say, the man who is now in power is the son of Babule. The son of Justice Liban just handed over power a few years ago. Okay, so now we go to good. Just forward and back, right? Okay. I think I don't have a special thing for Google, so we'll do that. Give me there's a mouse in with my laptop. So, I've indicated what the combinations are between. That is the core institution for the entire political system of okay, it's probably. I can do it. So Gumi is the second institution that we want to talk about, and that has a great deal of power. It checks the authority of those in power because they can be brought under investigation. If they are found to be failing in their responsibilities, they can be removed from office. And the removal from office is called Bukkisu, which means uproot. Uprooting. In Bukkisari. Incidentally, the word for Bukkisu uprooting is identical with the Tigrinya word Nonkwase. Bukkisu Nonkwase. The interesting thing about Bukkisu is that when they remove a man from power, they enumerate exactly what the powers are that he must give up. They say things as Eri Muri, which means you can no longer make decisions about wells. Musar Bonofa and Murin do not make decisions about the affairs of the clan. Gosa will sorry about language. Gosa will do not mediate in conflicts between people, and so on. So the interesting thing is that we know what the powers are that are held when they are being removed from office. All unresolved cases in Borana are taken to the Gumi who makes the final decision. Their capacity for conflict resolution is not only within Borana, but also for the entire Naga Borana. Naga Borana means Borana and all their allies. Borana were capable of establishing themselves, of creating an umbrella of organization that brought together several clans, several tribes, by peaceful alliances. These are the Gabra, the Ajuran, the Garri, and the Sakuye. All four of them are part of the confederacy of the Borana. Unfortunately, that confederacy was shattered when the British established their territory and drew a line right through Borana territory, separating the Borana from their allies. All their allies remained, they said, henceforth, the Gabra are a British tribe, the Borana are an Ethiopian tribe, and all the others became British tribes. So the Nagaborana, the Pax Borana, was dissolved as a result of the drawing of the boundary and the effect that it had on their political system. Now, next is the age-grade system and the organization within it that is based on Borana warfare. This is the defense of the nation, a very important part of this political system. The defense of the nation. Why do they need to defend the nation? Because there is harassment of the Borana from the Somali side. The Somali are a very expansive people, a very aggressive people. They are forever at the gate of the Borana. They have to defend themselves. They had actually occupied a part of Lebanon and entered into Lebanon, the eastern zone of Borana, and when Mada organized his war. His war was, I said, the biggest war waged by the Borana during the 20th century because he managed to get together 11 age regiments, 400 warriors armed with rifles, an equal number mounted on horses, the cavalry, and then they don't count the foot soldiers, they were armed with spears and shields. Those are they just say enumerated only. There are many of them. He sent scouts before attacking the Marayan Somali. The scouts are organized as two groups. They're called Turban, two groups of Doya, who go in, spy the land, see where the fighters are, see what the dangers are, and then he wages the campaign. It was very successful. He succeeded in pushing out the Marayan Somali from Lebanon territory. So we learn from that that there is in Gada also a military organization, which historically was very important. We know from the work of Bahri how important the military organization of Gada was. We know now from the current evidence about the war of Mada that was waged in 1950, that was so devastating on their enemies. This happened many times. They fought a war against the Maasai. The Maasai invaded Borana territory, and this was in the late 19th century, and three Abagadas, Libanjal Desa was the leader of that war, three Abagadas campaigned on horseback. Horses played a very important role in Oromo history. Horsemanship is a very important factor. A factor that gives them tremendous advantage over their adversaries, particularly in Kenya, because none of them are mounted on horses. Even in hunting, they can do a great deal of hunting of big game on horseback. Threatening, life-threatening, but nonetheless quite effective. So for people who want to study Oromo history, please